For September 12th, 2022, please mark if you're present.
Can't do it. I'm here.
Just go through.
Mayor, let the record reflect that all members are present.
Okay, thank you. We have one item on the agenda tonight. I'd like to remind council staff will be pausing intermediately to answer any questions. Today's discussion will be on the 2023 council meeting calendar and council meeting effectiveness. Please introduce yourself.
And I'll be joined, if you need her, by our city manager, Julie Cairns. Sorry. I know. It's as close as it will be right now. Okay, so Darcy McCracken, city clerk, and I will be joined, if needed, by Julie Cairns, our city manager. So thank you for this opportunity to provide several calendar options for your review and discussion. I've placed the draft calendars at each of your seats so that you have them in front of you, and you can tell which one is which by the writing in the upper right-hand corner. We've got several options for you. We've got one with a Monday with a June-July break, and one with a Monday with a July-August break, one with a Tuesday with a June-July break, and one with a Tuesday with a July-August break. While those are the overall options, don't be afraid to take one and change it to suit your will too, because this is all in your purview and it's up to you to decide what you would like to do. So our rules in the charter do require that we establish a calendar of meeting dates and times for the next calendar year. Typically, we try to do that by October so that we can actually post it on our website and also put the dates, populate the dates into our agenda system. During this last year, several items were identified that would make it easier if they were put on the calendar to begin with, such as the city manager and city attorney reviews. And we also had a request then to consider an earlier break to accommodate school breaks for the kids. We also identified February 3rd and 4th for 2 half-days to hold your council retreat, and that's a Friday and a Saturday. Again, this is all up to discussion by the council. We also have tentatively on the calendars that you have in front of you, we did also put the P&Z dates on there so that you could see the lead times from the time that a P&Z item is seen to the time it actually has to hit your calendars. And that, of course, could lead to a longer meeting night. So one of the beautiful things about having our own space is it gives you the ability to change your days that you would be having the meetings, the times that you would be having the meetings, and we also have a little bit more flexibility if we need to hold a special meeting. Council has purview over the day of the meetings and the start time of the meetings. In the research that my office did, we did find that of our 10 benchmark cities, only one besides us has their meetings on Mondays. 6 have their meetings on Tuesdays, 1 has their meetings on Wednesday, and 2 have their meetings on Thursday. Council may choose to have meetings on Tuesdays, which does give us a number of additional possible dates for meetings because we no longer have to compete with our Monday holidays. And it gives a longer lead time for our P&Z items. And it also allows that if we do need to do a last minute change, we do have Monday to do that. An additional option that council could consider is only having a potential work session the first meeting of the month plus a work session night, and then not have a work session on the second meeting of the month, which is when we typically have our P&Z items, which then would make it so that we could start those meeting nights at 5 p.m. Again, this is all up to the council to decide how they want to move forward with that. So that's the whole gist of it, and it's I'm happy to answer any questions, and I have our city manager here if you have additional questions.
Question for you. It's not popping up on here, so I just ask who wants to speak.
Yes.
So I'll start right to left, and I'll just make it easy that way. Councilmember Kano.
Hot mic, okay. These are, it's nice to have options, and I think there's definitely validity in the idea of changing the break time to coincide with school holidays, not only for members of council, but for staff as well. So I definitely like that. I know that we sometimes have very, very long nights. And if you have a work session and maybe an extended P&Z calendar, it can make for pretty grueling evening. But that's really not the majority of meetings that it happens. They're sort of intermittent. And so I kind of like the idea of not having a work session on planning and zoning item nights, just because we want to be available and fresh and alert for all the items coming up on topic. Personally, I like the Monday meeting night. I like, I think we've worked our life around the Monday nights, and so oftentimes there's community events or faith-based events, other events going on the rest of the week. So for me personally, I like to stick with the Monday nights.
Councilmember Campbell?
Well, I'm flexible. I could do Monday or Tuesday. It doesn't make any difference. Personally, I prefer Tuesday to give the staff an additional day if we want to change something or we need more information, because sometimes with our staff working a 4-day week, they're off on Friday, and I get my agenda Wednesday or Thursday, and by the time I go through it and I have questions and I'm looking for that staff, they're off. And I have to wait until Monday to get my questions answered, and I get busy and sometimes I forget, and then I'm really rushed personally. I prefer, only because, and I'm the short-termer on council now, I think it would be wise for us to keep well, I don't know. Now that we have our elections in August, it really messes us up. We've never had to deal with this before, because in March we didn't have that problem. I don't know if our election's always going to be the first Tuesday in August. We need to be aware that there will be council members running for re-election, and they aren't going to be on vacation. So while you're giving them a vacation, maybe that'll help them run harder for the spot or whatever they're going to do. Or they need a vacation when the election is over. And this year we didn't get it. So I don't know what the best dates are for the time off, and we've never had June ever in the 12 years I've been on council, so that's a whole new ball game to us. We've always been off the middle of the middle of July through August, and picked it back up in August, and that's what we've always done. But whatever everybody else decides, I mean, I'll go with the majority of the folks, personally. But I think it'd be nice to have it on Tuesday for a change.
Vice Mayor? You hit your red. There we go. Red.
If it's red, there you go.
Now it's on. Okay. I thought I must turn it off. Okay. Yeah, I'm okay with the Tuesday. Makes sense to me to give staff an easier time. As long as it's still at 6 o'clock at night, I think that's important for people that work. And I do like the idea of June, July to more coordinate with kids that are out of school as well for vacations, and also, like you're saying, with the elections, so people who are running might be able to do more during that time to run for re-election. Yeah, so I think it's pretty beneficial for Tuesday night for help staff, and then June, July for vacation, and still starting at 6.
Councilmember Loretano?
Make sure, can you hear me? Did I do this right? Okay. For me, personally, the Mondays work better because I do work on Tuesdays. If it's at 6 and we have a work session at 5, then I have to leave like at 4. So, I mean, it really pushes up the whole, and that's the one day of the week that for me personally, I have court and I'm a short timer, more so than even Councilmember Campbell. So for me, the Mondays, but if it's the Tuesdays, as long as it's in the evening and we maybe do the work session once a week, I can make it work. I may be late a couple times calling in or whatever, but I'll do whatever the majority. But for me, the Monday actually works better right now. For the calendar, I'm the one that brought it to the attention because of the school things. Now my kids are out of school, so it doesn't matter. But when I look at Councilmember Bray and Vice Member Hampton, and if we want to keep getting diversity in the community, the two things I would suggest is keep the meetings in the evenings. I know like Phoenix has them in the afternoon. I don't think that's a plan I would support, because I think it's important not only for our council members and to make sure we get a diverse community group to people who want to run and can say, oh, I can do that and have a job. And also to people of the community that want to come and speak or be heard at a meeting. It's very hard if it's in the afternoon. So I like the fact we're keeping them in the afternoon. The break was because I have made vacations. I've missed very few council meetings over the, 12 years I've done this, and I've literally made vacations. I have called in from Hawaii, and then I've made vacations from Tuesday to Sunday. I mean, I have tried to do this, so it is difficult. So I think to get the younger people and people who have kids and staff and families, I kind of like the moving the holiday. The work sessions, if we have enough to just do them at one, I think that's great, but I know sometimes we'll have more, and I think you just have to play that by ear. I wouldn't make that a hard, fast rule.
Okay.
Councilmember Stipp?
I don't even know where to start. Tuesdays, we're talking about how does this affect each one of us individually. Tuesday effectively kills my business out of state. I cannot travel on Wednesday to work on Thursday with a client. We have the meeting on Monday, I travel on Tuesday, I can work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It would be significantly detrimental to my travel ability to maintain while we're here. My partner has arranged his schedule. He teaches at the university on Mondays, so we both make the commitment to be tied up on Mondays so we can travel on Tuesday. A change of this to Tuesday would be basically you're taking money out of my pocket, and that is for no reason. I mean, effectively, and it's hard to kind of keep my perspective on that, number one. Number two, by having this spread out, I think the other thing that we are able to do is those that come to the city council come on Mondays here, they go to Tuesdays in another city, Wednesdays in another city, and Thursdays in another city. If we all pile onto the same day, the people that need to make presentations to the council, we are making it much harder for them to do their job. So I think that the change further complicates that. And then thirdly, is those Monday holidays are a built-in day off for us. There have been several years where we have met every single Monday, unless we were on break or we had a holiday. So having the holiday in there is kind of a nice break. I know we all appreciate the ability to, this is a 24/7, 365 job, and to have that day off and to be able to catch your breath and not have that Monday activity is really refreshing. So, that's another reason to leave it on Mondays. I feel bad that, we quote unquote put the pressure on staff, but you know what? That's what you're here for. And we have a lot of things going on, and for those that are ending their, in the throes of the end of their terms, myself, Sherry, making the change midstream is kind of it's moving the goalposts in the middle of the game. I mean, it's just not, it's really not doable. As far as the break is concerned, I'm kind of indifferent to that. I would hate that we're making a decision to take a break because of election season, but I understand, family vacations, et cetera. I don't think anybody understands family vacations more than those of us sitting up here, because we, as Sherry pointed out, have to travel Tuesday through Sunday. And a director can take a day off and send a deputy. I cannot take a day off without there being a vacant seat here. So, but I'm kind of indifferent to that. Whether it's June, July, August, it doesn't really matter. I would hope that when we look at these work sessions that we're not just programming them for the sake of programming them. Sometimes we have work sessions that are 15 minutes long, and then we have to sit around for 45 minutes. Other times we've had work sessions that we thought would take a half an hour that took an hour and a half. So I think we really need to, and the collective we, it's not a council issue, but I think it's us and staff, we really need to figure out a better system for calculating that and kind of moving forward. And I know for staff, it's a throw the dart. Is this item going to take a half an hour, or is this item going to take an hour and a half? But we're fairly predictable, I think, so trying to kind of manage that in a better way. I love the idea of not having a work session before this now thing that we do, a P&Z meeting night. I would love if those meetings started at 5, but the regular meeting starts at 5. No work session, meeting starts at 5 when we plow forward. So we're not here until 10, 11 o'clock. Not that that hour bothers me in the least. I'm up until 1 o'clock every night. But as a collective council, we do not function well when we've been sitting up here for 5 hours. It just, I think we all know that. So the last person on the agenda that night gets a giveaway because everyone's too tired to even fight or care. So, I just, again, stick with Monday. I'm indifferent about the break. Give us those days off when it's a holiday. Let us enjoy that, and kind of move from there. That's all I got.
Councilmember Bray?
I'm the shortest of short timers. Have you considered Saturdays? No, good luck to all of you.
Any thoughts? Well, no.
The schedule that is currently, it works well. The work sessions are difficult, right? You never know what it's going to be, but I found it, it worked within what I had in dealing with family and all of that. I'd say stick with the consistency. Everybody knows you meet on Mondays, so.
Okay. All right, for me personally, the break, I think the break for July and August works good for a couple of reasons. First reason, budget. As we spread the budget process out, we try to finish everything up by, the first week in July. And I think by state law, there's something that we have to do, in the first week of July, and what's this, the property tax? So if you made it to June and July, I think that just puts more thing within the budget and the numbers, and I think you're pressing it at that point. Anyway, you got to come back by July anyway to pass the property tax rate, right?
Actually, I did have our finance director, Doug Sandstrom, look at all the calendar options, and he did figure out that as long as we did most of the work before the break, then as soon as we came back from the break, then we would just have to make sure that we did that one item on that very first night that we came back.
Yeah, but I don't know, June and July, if you do that at the very first time when you come back, I still think timing-wise with the budget, the way we do right now, July and August, I think works well. I didn't hear any whole lot of option discussion, I guess, moving that. But the other piece is, when you're talking about these breaks in between there and the I guess the work sessions, I tend to agree if we can do something on that off night when it comes to P&Z, because those are the ones that seem to stretch it out. And I agree with Councilmember Stipp, and I know for myself, 3 hours in the saddle, my brain starts to wander, and I'm not nearly as efficient with that kind of time in here as opposed to spreading them out. And I'm not saying you just should rush things, but I think putting those more serious things when we're talking about zoning and planning and zoning, you want to make sure you're fresh. At least I believe you need to be fresh for that. So in my opinion, I think you want to separate some of the suggestions you had there. We don't put them on the same night. But, I'll go with the majority here. Monday, Tuesday, doesn't make any difference to me. But I can appreciate Councilmember Stipp. I wouldn't want to hurt anybody's livelihood by changing the date when they're having to travel. To me, that's not what it's all about as a collective group up here and those that are working for a living too, to make sure that timing-wise they can get here. So I'll go with the majority. I'm not sure you got any direction out of all this discussion. I'm going to ask the city manager what she got out of this, because don't know if there was a consensus all the way around here.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So appreciate the opportunity. As Darcy mentioned, having our own council chambers now just gives us a lot more flexibility. But certainly, I heard the consensus being leave the meetings Monday nights, leave the break July and August. The only change that we'll be looking to make is that we will have on the calendar, when we adopt the calendar, the council retreat, adding the evaluations for the manager and the attorney, so that those are known in advance. And then the other changes that we'll have work session nights scheduled for 2 times a month instead of 4, which is what we have now. And the regular meeting will start at 5 o'clock, typically with a work session, 6 o'clock for the regular meeting, and then on the P&Z, the second meeting of the month will start at 5 o'clock. That's what I believe I heard.
Is that consensus with everybody up here?
What was the
Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
5 o'clock you said? That won't change. That's the regular meetings are at 6. And you said the 5 o'clock would be for what?
So on the second regular council meeting of the month, we would move the start time from 6 to 5 because we wouldn't have a work session. So normally we would start with a work session at 5, but because those tend to be our longer nights, we would start the regular session at 5.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd rather do it at 6 still. That's me. I don't know if I heard that same consensus, but
Can I get a feel for the others?
I understand and I appreciate we want to make them shorter, but it's going to be the same amount of time if we start it earlier or later. So I'd prefer them starting at 6 for the reasons we said. It stated before with people that are working. So.
Even if there's a work session?
Yeah, work session can start at 5 like it is right now. Well, it's adding on another hour to it on top of it. Like it is right now. Like it is now. We're not changing it. How it is right now, regular meetings start at 6. If you don't have a work session, it still starts at 6. If you do a work session, it starts at 5, as opposed to making everything push up an hour to 6 or 5. That's the preferred start time. I prefer it start at 6.
And the thought was if it was a 4-hour meeting, instead of going from 6 to 10, it would go from 5 to 9, but certainly it's council's decision.
That's my opinion.
Let me check back with, go ahead, Councilmember Stipp.
Well, I think to echo what Councilmember Campbell said, I don't understand the difference, whether it's a work session or the regular meeting, whether we start at 5. I want to be respectful of, obviously, the same issue that I had, but if we're always meeting at 5 o'clock, does it matter whether the regular meeting starts at 5 or?
Well, wasn't it at 6? It was you said the work sessions, you're looking at making them twice a month as opposed to 4 times a month. So it'd be only twice a month that it'd be 5 o'clock, and then 6 o'clock would be the other time, as opposed to doing them 100% starting at.
So instead of
everything starting
4
at
nights,
5, right?
Instead of 4 nights at 5, we're going to do 3 nights at 5. That's the proposal on the table. No, it'd be 3, 2 work sessions and a.
Two nights at
and a
2 nights
meeting.
at 5, right?
So it'd be 3 nights at 5 instead of 4 nights at 5. So you're picking up an entire night off instead of us all being here, instead of that one night going from 6 until God knows when. It'll go from 5 to God knows when.
So we would always start at 5 o'clock, either with a work session or the regular council meeting if there was no work session.
Councilmember Loretano,
I feel like we're creeping into.
Okay, I'm having trouble with the math here. I'm trying to visualize this. I think right now, 4-week, the work session can be every day at 5.
Correct.
New calendar is work session 5, meeting 6, work session 5, meeting 5.
Correct.
Okay, so you're picking up an hour. The new calendar actually gets you here, lets you be here an hour later. So you're saving an hour. That's what I'm getting.
Okay, so let me back up. So we do, typically on our calendar for 2022, there were 4 meetings every month.
Yeah.
2 were council meetings, 2 were work session only meetings. The work session only meetings, we're proposing to drop one of those and just have one of those per month. On the council meetings, currently we allow ourselves to schedule a work session before each of the 2 regularly scheduled council meetings. We would only move that to 1. So only the first meeting of the month would we allow ourselves to schedule a work session. The second meeting of the month, because those tend to be our longer meetings, we would have no work session, but we would also propose to start at 5 so that the work begins at 5 and then goes as long as necessary to complete the agenda.
So we save a whole day?
Correct.
basically.
We're proposing to remove a day and then not have one on the P and Z nights, so you can have more time and energy for the P and Z items, but also starting at 5.
Who's on first?
I know,
Yeah, I'm just,
What's
yeah,
that?
I was trying to look out for people that might be working and who need to leave at 5 and might not get here till 6 for people, if I'm well off the council, just want to make sure that there's not a barrier to entry for people that are still working and not retired, so. I could probably do it, but I'm not sure if people after me can do it.
Wally?
We can always change it back if it doesn't work. This isn't for the rest of our life.
Correct. This is for the 2023 calendar. And I could even point out that during that calendar year, if we find something's not working, the clerk can always bring forward an amended agenda or amended calendar.
Councilmember Loretano, again, you, I'll give you a second. No, I'll get a second, Kano. Yeah, I know, I meant Loretano.
No, I was, so I think I've got it
But
now.
she works, that's what I want to make sure.
We're getting an extra day less here. So you're actually saving, you wouldn't be coming here at 5, you're not coming here at all. So I think that actually helps. So it's just kind of, I think, a little weird when we're looking at all this, but I think actually we get a day less unless there was an emergency. So I'm okay with that. And then if it, find out it doesn't working, we can even switch it mid, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Now, Councilmember Kano.
Well, ultimately, want to do the business of the city, and I think if we find that we need more meetings to accomplish that, I think we need to be sure to be flexible enough to fit that in. As long as I guess we'll just have to convey all meetings start at 5, whether it's a work session or a regular, so that I think it's better than jumping, well, some 5, some 6. I think everything starts at 5, but, I think people will get used to that and make arrangements. So, and I think to Bill's point, with staying on Mondays, then the people who need to get here for presentations can still do that.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understand it. We're looking at 3 meetings a month, right?
Correct. That's what we would be adopting as part of the 2023
So
calendar.
instead of 4 meetings a month, you've got 3 meetings a month.
Yeah, and I guess I do need to clarify, so many months do have holidays. It might not have always been 4 on the calendar. But yes, in theory, we had 2 regular meetings, 2 work sessions. We would be going down to 2 council meetings, 1 work session. And everything, to Councilmember Kano's point, would start at 5 p.m.
So hypothetically, if Monday is a holiday, you'd still have 3, because you still got 3 Mondays left in the month. Is that correct?
For most months. And we'll bring back a final calendar for your adoption, and that will have all of the details.
But no more than 3.
Correct.
So you're saving time in through there. Yeah, I hear it. I can, to me, and I can appreciate the vice mayor's concern, because he might not get off till 5 to get here. But you got to get here for the work sessions that were at 5. And you're saving a whole day. You're only going to be doing 3 a month instead of 4 a month. You get a whole day, So you okay?
Yeah. No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm trying to look at it.
Yeah.
It took 5 years. We never changed it last 5
Yeah,
years.
I know.
So I understand
know.
how flexible we're going to be in the future, but I know how.
Again,
I know how we work sometimes.
if it's still an issue and we find out we have to change it, then we change it.
Absolutely. And I appreciate the conversation, and also Councilmember Stipp's point that, managing the work sessions and trying to equalize our meetings is something that we always aim to do. And sometimes we do it better than others, but certainly we try to balance out those work sessions.
Okay, thank you. Question, as we go forward, is the other meeting, is it set for, does it have to be at 6, or can we take a break and then start it right after this?
So the next meeting, if you want a break, you can certainly take a break. It's immediately following.
Okay,
So if you want to take a break, absolutely.
so I can close this one, right? Meeting closed, and we need some time to kick it over?
If we can just have a minute to transfer.
All right, well, would anybody like a 5 or 10 minute, 5 or 10? How about 10 minute before we start? Everybody okay? All right.